Original.
And I'm in love with the money.
Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about something that I came across on Facebook. It was a post that really stirred conversation, especially among women. And trust me, this is something that you will need to think about whether or not you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond. We do need to think about it. And I'm going to share this post with you. So it was a post talking about a woman who lost her spouse. And because of that, she was on the verge of losing their home, their car, and was struggling to pay the bills, right? And this post basically said, how was this even possible, right? And it brought to mind that some people might be ignorant of what goes on in their household financially. And this can be a really big concern, especially when it comes to putting into place strategies or tools to ensure that if something bad happens, if something unfortunate happens, if something unpredictable happens, the family is taken care of. So let's have a quick chat. Let's think about and maybe put ourselves in this person's position and say, what could we do to protect ourselves? Could this be you or could this be your spouse? We need to think about these things and we think about them today. So imagine losing someone that you've built a life with, only to find out you're not just losing the person you love, you're actually losing the home that you and your family share, the car that you depend on, and now you're stuck with bills that you can't pay. This happens way too often. And partly due to being financially ignorant about what's going on in your household, that's an easy fix, right? But also, it's because we don't use the tools available to us to make sure that when stuff happens, you're ready, that you're taken care of. So the passing of a breadwinner, right, an income earner, can be devastating. The emotional loss and also the financial consequence. And if there isn't a strategy in place, if they haven't put the tools in place, the safeguards to protect you and your family, it can set off a tragic storm of events, right, that you might find yourself unable to get out of. So I know having this kind of conversation might take the romance out of a marriage or a partnership, but guess what? It is necessary. It is necessary to know that the other person is taken care of if you are not around anymore. I'm from the Caribbean, right? So I know the stories, I know the excuses, I know the comments that might come back on us, or especially when we're talking to our spouses about things like life insurance, critical illness, and so forth. I can mention a few. One of the comments that were placed in the post said, the spouse says, "Are you planning to get rid of me?" Another one that I hear often is, "I'm not minding or taking care of the next man. My wife is going to remarry." But guess what? These are short-sighted, and I'm going to say it, narrow-minded views of the future, right? If you love your family, if you want them to have a future that you imagine for them, and I'm hoping that the future that you imagine is one of prosperity, financial security, and opportunity, you would want to ensure that you have certain tools in place to ensure that whether or not you're around, your family is taken care of. To me, what's more loving than ensuring that the well-being of your spouse and your kids is taken care of? Having something like life insurance is in place is saying to your spouse that I got you no matter what. Baby, I've got your back, right? And you need to have serious conversations to ensure that these strategies are in place, because we want freedom for ourselves to choose, right? Freedom to not be forced into ugly situations just because we can't marry, because we can't provide for ourselves financially, we're forced into another relationship that might not be what we really want, right? We don't want our kids to have Cinderella stories, and the only way to avoid that is to ensure that we have the financial tools in place to protect our family. What I'm talking about is life insurance. Life insurance provides a payout on the passing of a loved one to the beneficiaries. This payout can take care of the mortgage, pay off the mortgage. It can put funds aside for the kids' education. It can have cover living expenses, so the remaining spouse can grieve. So the remaining spouse can take care of the family, the kids who are also grieving, instead of being forced now to go to work, right? Maybe earning minimum wage because they've never worked before, potentially, or having to work multiple jobs just to replace the income. And this is after probably losing the home, the car, etc. So we don't want to be in that kind of a financial situation. You don't want to be married for decades on trusting your partner to take care of you, not asking the questions that you need to ask, and then suddenly you're grappling with a mountain of bills and a financial situation that you can't get out of because they did not, or you did not, invest in life insurance. But guess what? This doesn't have to be your story, right? Putting a policy in place will protect you. But I also want to bring to mind that passing, death, isn't the only thing that can bring you to this place, right? A serious illness could do the same thing. A bad accident could do the same thing, right? Not being able to earn is the main thing that can cripple a family. And actually, the risk of a critical illness or having a bad accident is actually higher than passing before the age of 65. So are you prepared? Get ready. Start having those difficult conversations. Have family meetings. Take the emotional stuff out of it and look at life practically. Sit down with your partner and your family and talk about the what ifs. What if you pass prematurely? And this goes for both partners in the marriage or the relationship. Making sure that both partners have the coverage, because every partner brings something to the table. It might not be financially in all cases, but you do play a role, and replacing that role can have a significant financial impact on your family. So sit down with your partner and have those conversations. Whether or not you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, it's never too late to start having that conversation. I know that in the comments, there were a few other points brought up, right? Individuals were saying that they were feeling like saving towards their financial future was enough, right? But the question is saving enough if something happens tomorrow, all right? Is savings enough when you're planning for your future and something happens? Do you want to be drawing down on those savings? Do you want to be exhausting what you've put aside for your financial future? Or would you rather to pass that risk to somebody else, to like an insurance company? The other comment I saw was, yes, life insurance is a solution, but term insurance it expires, right? It's not a lifetime coverage, and that is correct. But guess what? When you're on a tight budget, term insurance might be an interim solution for you. Again, I call it my no excuse policy, right? Because if you are able to buy Starbucks, if you are able to buy Tim Hortons, you are able to afford a term policy as long as your health permits. The other thought is that the conversation is difficult. I already mentioned that, right? But guess what? You have to choose your hard. That's my thought. Choose your hard. Is it hard to have the conversation with your spouse? Or is it harder to be in a financial situation where you can't pay your bills, you're being kicked out of your home, your car is being repossessed? Choose your hard. Is it hard to give up Uber a couple times per week, give up Tim Hortons or Starbucks in order to pay for life insurance coverage? Or is it harder to work 2 jobs, hide from your creditors, choose your heart, right? So the final thought on this piece is that definitely get covered. Make sure the what ifs are taken care of. Make sure that if either person in a relationship gets incapacitated, there is money coming in to replace the income that they brought into the household, to replace the service that they provided for the household. Get life insurance, get critical illness coverage, get disability coverage. If you can't afford all 3, start with life insurance, okay? The other element, the other thing that came up in the conversation over and over again was having a will and powers of attorney. A will and powers of attorney are critical to any estate planning tool strategy, right? This is how you tell your family how you want things to play out after you're gone, how you want your wishes to be carried out. It's kind of like a love letter telling them how you'll be taking care of them, how you want to divide the assets, etc. The powers of attorney come in when you want somebody to be able to speak on your behalf if you become incapacitated because of a serious illness or an accident. You want somebody to be able to give directions over your property and your finances, as well as to make medical decisions on your behalf. And if you want to learn more about this, please go to my YouTube channel and have a watch of the webinar that I had with Keisha Dixon. She's a lawyer, and we spoke about family planning. These tools are very important. So again, taking care of your family is not just understanding what bills are paid, who the mortgage is with, right? That's important and definitely a part of it, especially when it comes to executing your estate after you're gone. But more importantly is making sure that the people that you leave behind, or if you are left behind, that situation that you're in, your bills are paid, the mortgage is covered, the car is paid off, and your kids have a college fund, right? And you don't have to be stressed out while you're grieving about bills, about surviving financially. There are quite a number of options available to you when it comes to protecting your income. Life insurance, there are 3 types. And again, depending on your budget, depending on your goals, one of them will be a sure fit in your situation. If you're older and might not have the best of health, there are still solutions for you. You need to speak to an advisor to learn what they are. Again, I'll bring this story back to the screen. You don't want somebody posting something like this about your situation. Being at risk to lose your family home, your car, not being able to provide for yourself and your kids. You do not want somebody to have to start doing a GoFundMe for yourself or your spouse. You want to have dignity when you go, and you want to leave your family in a better situation, not a worse situation. Again, if you need help with this, whether it be putting the proper protection in place for yourself or your family, or getting started with a will or power of attorneys, give me a call, reach out to me. My information is scrolling across the screen. It's never too late to start. The only time it's too late is when you actually need it, right? So get these things in place. Get your life insurance policy. Get your wills and powers of attorney. Get other income protection tools in place to ensure that whatever happens, you're covered. Thanks for listening, and I hope this helps.